Militia family, what's good? What's good, man? We have all kinds of news coming out. Can y'all hear me? Let me know. The dog wants to start barking when I go live. So, I'm live. Bye. All right. So, interruptions, phone ringing, dog barking. It's crazy. It's crazy in the nation. But man, we got the top 25 free agents we're going to talk about, where I predict everybody will go, who the Raiders will be looking at, who they should be looking at. We will get into all of that. But man, let's address the elephant in the room right off the rip. Max Crosby has not officially, but has went through Jay Glazer, who has come out on Media Row and said Max Crosby will more than likely be looking for a trade this offseason. Doesn't look like his time with the Las Vegas Raiders will be lasting very long. And if you follow this channel, Raiders Unleashed, when everybody else tells you there's no way Max will get traded, we talked about it, we talked about it, and we talked about it. And I told you, if Pete Carroll was fired from the Las Vegas Raiders, that Max would not want to be here. I said it was you know, a tie that could not be severed, right? It's severed. It's unfixable. When you bench a guy that all he wants to do is play football the last two games of the season, knowing that he had to have the surgery anyways, right? Everybody already knew that the surgery was coming. I mean, the dude was injured all year, wasn't 100%. So to bench him, to fire Pete Carroll was, from what I'm hearing, the straw that broke the camel's back. But Jay Glazer, went on, talked about it. Um, we'll pull it up here in a bit. Let me know what y'all think. Also, we have a little game we are going to play. See what y'all check out y'all's knowledge. Shout out to everybody in the building. Raider Ryan, Grandpa Harold was good. Grim in the building. Candy Angel was dude, was good, was good. Appreciate all of y'all in the building. Um, let's get into this real quick. Block this camera. A little behind. So yeah, I will have a video coming out about the Max Crosby situation. We'll probably go more live about it tomorrow. We will talk about, what we could possibly get from Max Crosby. If y'all follow, again, we did a live a couple days ago where we did a mock draft. We did a mock draft just for fun, right? To see what we could get for Crosby. Mock drafts don't mean shit, right? It's just got put together by PFF or, Pro Football Sports, whichever one y'all prefer. So, we all know it's nonsense, but for the fact that we did the mock draft, right? We're gonna do some more. There wasn't a lot of takers in the mock draft. We couldn't get more than one, more than one for Max Crosby, right? So yeah, I'm back. I was trying to do some shit, make sure everything I had pulled up. But yeah, one first round and a second was all they were willing to give. I think the market's going to be way higher higher than that for Max Crosby. There's a lot of teams that I'm sure would prefer to play for, but there's a lot of teams that would love to have a Max Crosby. No matter what you could get, or what you have to give. There's people I'm sure that would go crazy, throw out some landish ass numbers, two first rounds, and a Pro Bowl type player. I would not put that past would not put that past any team for a player. Don't even think Unleashed is here. What are you talking about? Be Unleashing. Oh, yeah, man. So that's where we're at. But we got some Jay Glazer. Oh shit. We gotta stop sharing this. Yeah. All right, so we got some Jay Glazer news. We'll pull this up. Let me know if y'all can hear it. That's not how I wanted to pull it up. Some beach somewhere. Oh, fuck my life. Sorry, should have been pulled up, but it was not pulled up. We'll try one more time. James Palmer. Here we go. Wait, how much of this my X account is going to show? You cocksucker. All right, time out, man. I don't know what the hell is going on here. Try this one more time. I cannot see my screen or what the hell is on the screen. All right, so if y'all can hear this.
There's a couple guys tell you they're playing.
I can't hear it.
Playing.
I think his time with
I
the
can't
Raiders
hear
is
it
done.
either, right?
Okay. Before the draft?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Is there a landing spot that makes sense in your opinion?
Ton of them. I'm not going to say what it is yet because I'm going to try and help it out.
Sure. What kind of haul do you think realistically a Max Crosby gets in general?
He probably more than Micah. So the day it happened, no less than 20 teams called me and asked, dude, is this real? Can we get
20 teams.
What's it for? Oh my God, we're not there yet, but yes, it's real.
Do you think his time with the Raiders is done because that's a Raiders decision or because that's a Max Crosby decision?
They didn't want to do it. But he was just like, I'm not going through another rebuild.
All right, so stop sharing. I don't know. Could y'all hear that? How credible is Jay Glazer? Well, Jay Glazer is somebody that Jay Glazer, if you're looking at football in the NFL, his closest friend right now that's in the NFL is Max Crosby, from what I hear. From the little birdie in my ear, from reports I've heard, from reports I've seen, from their time. Shit. We couldn't. Oh, shit. You couldn't hear it? Damn it. Take this shit out. Y'all couldn't hear it? Son of a bitch. So basically what Jay Glazer was saying is Max Crosby's time as a Las Vegas Raider is officially done. He's saying that we couldn't hear. So he's saying that Max Crosby's time is officially done. He has told the Raiders that he doesn't want to be here for another rebuild. Like I said, we talked about it. I said if Pete Carroll was fired, that was going to be the straw that broke the camel's back. They're trying to blame it on the fact that he was benched for the last 2 games. That has nothing to do with it, from what I'm hearing. So basically what Jay Glazer is saying, and, put this up there. Raider Ryan says, how credible of a source is it? Well, Jay Glazer and Max Crosby are pretty damn good friends. And anytime Max Crosby wants anything put out there, he goes to Jay Glazer, right? It's not Ian Rappaport. That's not his buddy. His guy is Jay Glazer. And if you want something put out, that's who he goes to. So from what I gather is, and like I told y'all before, right? Max is done with the Raiders. He doesn't want to be here for a rebuild. I believe this is the stupidest decision he can make because we're finally bringing in a coach, finally bringing in a quarterback. We got a running back. The offense is about to start clicking. And now this dude is, without saying he doesn't want to be a Raider, he's putting little cryptic messages out there. And he put another cryptic message out there when James Harden got traded yesterday to the Cleveland, from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Max Crosby posted, I don't have to bring it up. Y'all just got to trust me. Max Crosby posted James Harden to the Cavaliers equals rings, right? Championship. So he's saying this guy, going to James Harden has been with the Rockets. He's been with Atlanta. He's been with the Clippers, right? He's been to all these teams that couldn't get him over the hump. Well, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a contender, and him going to a contender is saying, right, James Harden going to contender equals rings. Also, Max Crosby, we talked about it 2 days ago. Max Crosby posted on X, a ship that waits for the right winds to sail never sets sail. So, little diva cryptic messages. The man's got 2 podcasts he does all week long. Twice a week he's on a podcast. Just be a man, bro. Just be a man and come out and say, look, Raider Nation, I love you, y'all, but I need to do what's best for Max Crosby. I would have more respect for that. I don't respect the way he's going about this at all. And it's not to the point where, well, maybe Max doesn't want out. No, Max wants out, bro. He doesn't want to be here. He hasn't been in the building for the first time since we've moved to Las Vegas, since the season was over. Usually the day after the season is over, Max Crosby's in the building. He's training, he's getting therapy, he's working out, he's doing all the shit he always does. He's in the building 365. He hasn't been in the building since he left to have surgery. Now, you could say he's rehabbing or whatever, but usually he rehabs in the building, right? That's where all the doctors are. That's where, the people that take care of him. This time, he's not in the building. He's rehabbing back and forth to LA. He's talked about Caleb Williams nonstop the last couple of weeks, even though they're not in the playoffs. Diana Rossini also came out and said, Max Crosby has told me personally that he wants to play for Mike Vrabel. Now, if the Raiders knew, and Mark Davis knew, and Tom Brady and John Spytek, all of these people are in the building, I'm sure they talk to Max. I know Mark Davis goes to lunch with Max. They used to go to lunch whatever it was, once a month, once a week, whatever it was. You don't see that too often with a player and the owner, hanging out, talking, going to lunch and shit. They have a tight relationship. So if Max wanted Vrabel, why didn't he say, just go get Vrabel? He was available. Did he not want the job? He wasn't offered a job. We didn't bring him in for an interview. So it just seems like the glass has been broke and, it's a million pieces, and it doesn't seem like there's any fixing this shit. Now, I do know Max Crosby was kind of cryptic last year when they fired, AP, right? And they brought in Pete Carroll. He showed up to the press conference. They talked. He smoothed everything over. They promised him, you're going to be the greatest of all time and we're going to win 1 million championships. And Max Crosby got his little contract, right, with a 2-year extension, and he decided to play the rest of the year. But I told y'all then that 2-year contract was just to get guaranteed money. That 1 year of that contract is already gone, and next year is the final year of his contract money. So Max wanting out. If I'm the Raiders, nah, bro, sorry. We ain't trading you this year. We'll trade you next year, but you're going to play for us this year, this final year. That's the way I would do it. If I'm in the building. But let me know y'all thoughts. How y'all feel about it? Do you feel like, the days with Max Crosby are over? Is it finished? Can it be mended, right? Can you, go in there and, offer him more money, promise him, playoffs, bring in guys that he said, Jim Schwartz, he would love to play for a Jim Schwartz. Maybe you bring in that, type of defensive player, defensive mind to keep this man in the building. I don't know. Faded Raider, what's good? We could hear it. You could or couldn't? We heard it. Oh, he heard it. I don't know. I'm past that. Did y'all see Jeff Strutland just left the Eagles? No, did not. If he wants out, hate to say it, but let the door hit you on the way out. Good luck, right? That's what I'm saying, man. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Look, I've been at this point. I've been at this point for a long time with Max Crosby. I was pissed off last year when he, talks about all he wants to do is win. I've said it before. He's got that mindset where it's all about him, and it's been about him for a long time. And I feel like this has nothing whatsoever to do with Pete Carroll. I don't think it has to do with his benching. I think it has to do with a little bit of fact of matter that the Raiders have the number 1 pick overall, and Max Crosby will no longer be the franchise and the face of Raider Nation. It's going to happen eventually. We all knew it was going to happen. But when you draft a quarterback number 1 overall, and if the kid comes out there and shines in his rookie year or even half shines, come on, man. We all know the writing on the wall. We all see that shit, bro. Like, you got podcast after podcast. Just come out and tell the fans that have supported you for 7 years, that have bought your flipping jerseys, that have been to the games even though we're losing. Bro, just say, look, I'm sorry, Raider Nation, but I requested a trade, right? Devontae Adams, who everybody said was a diva, and everybody bitched and moaned and complained about Devontae wanting to leave the Raiders because the way he was treated when you bring in quarterbacks like Garner Minshew that he didn't want to play with. He didn't want to play with Jimmy G. They could have kept Devontae Adams happy. All they had to do was play Aiden O'Connell. Devontae said it himself. This kid, when he figures out who he is going to be special. And they took that away from him, and Devontae wanted out. But he was man enough to come on TV and say, look, I requested a trade. I love Raider Nation. It has nothing to do with y'all, but sometimes shit just doesn't work. We don't see eye to eye, and I'm moving on. He didn't even have a podcast or a TV show. Like, Max has 2, man. So, just say you don't want to be here, to go through Jay Glazer, to put all this drama shit out. It's starting to turn diva-ish. It really, really is. But I really feel like, that's the case, right? Max Crosby stuck it out this long because he was the face of Raider Nation. He was the man. He was the guy. And now you have Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty under Klint Kubiak. Oh, my goodness, bro. If you think David Walker III is a dog, you have no idea what is about to get unleashed with Ashton Genty. No pun intended. Let Max walk. He'd be like Max with no. He'd be like Mac with no ring still. Greg Lear in the building. And I think that's part of it too, right? For Max Crosby. If you're Max Crosby, bro, you gotta look at Kayvon Chasen. You got to look at Robert Spillane, who we know they were tight, right? They were boys. So Robert Spillane leaves. Kayvon Chasen leaves. Amari Gaynor got released from the Raiders, picked up, and is playing in the Super Bowl. Matt Collins, a former Raider. Thayer Munford, who couldn't, who couldn't block worth of shit as the Raiders, has been playing in playoff games and doing okay. So if you're Max Crosby, you got to look at all the guys that are in the playoffs that were former Raiders. You also have to look at the fact that all the guys that made the playoffs when you still haven't, in Nate Hobbs, Josh Jacobs, right? All these guys he still speaks to. Amik Robinson has been in the playoffs all the time. And for Max Crosby, I think he's finally realizing that, damn, maybe I need to go see if the grass is greener on the other side. But I said it on a short the other day. The grass ain't greener on the other side, and there's nothing but rocks and cactus and, and dirt in the desert. So for him to leave now, I think this is a mistake. I really do. I feel if Max Crosby asked to be traded, he makes this team better. He makes this team better with the draft picks and the, whatever we can get for him. He makes this team better. And I'm not saying that he doesn't make the team better being on the, on the team, but the last couple of years, you look at his, the greatest year he had was 14 and a half sacks. And some could say, he doesn't have the weapons around him or the pieces around him. But you could say that about a lot of players, that still are up there with, 15 plus sacks every year. So Great Raider. And, you know, if you don't want to be here, man, just come out and say it. That's fine. Bon voyage. Ashton Genty is getting traded for Jeffrey Epstein. Some crazy shit. What's good? Angel Eyes in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Rosetown in the building. What's good, my guy? D Menace. What's good? What's good? So let me know how y'all feel about it. Let me know how y'all feel. Also, we have a little game that I want to play. It's been going around, you know, the Raiders media the last couple days. We're gonna pull this up here, and with this game, y'all have shit. Which window is it? All right, here we go. All right, so I can't blow it up anymore. Can y'all see that shit? All right, let's try this again. The fuck did it go? All right, so what we got is you got $10, right? You got $10 to pick a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and a tight end. And this is what we have. And damn, if y'all can't read it, I cannot read it either. $4. The $4 mark is Kenny Stabler, Marcus Allen, Tim Brown, and Dave Casper, right? The $3 mark is Jim Plunkett, Bo Jackson, Fred Bolitnikoff, and Todd Christensen. The $2 mark is Rich Gannon, Napoleon Kaufman, Cliff Branch, and Brock Bowers. The $1 mark is Derek Carr, Ashton Genty. Who's that? James Jones? James Jones? What? I didn't even see him on there. And Darren Waller. Darren Waller. So if y'all want to participate, let me know. You have $10. $10 to pick a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So if y'all want to participate, go ahead and let me know who you got. Rosetown says Plunkett, which is 4 or 3. Bo Jackson, which is 3. Bowers, which is 3. And Branch. Oh, Bowers is 2 and Branch. Oh, okay. So 6, 8, 10. Nice. I like that. For me, if y'all want to know mine, I'm gonna go. And y'all should already know. I love Jim Plunkett, but damn, for $3, that's a lot. Rich Gannon, $2 makes much more sense, but I cannot pass up on my guys. So I gotta go Derek Carr. I gotta go Marcus Allen. Oh, at least the last one hard. Son of a bitch. Actually, I don't know, man. I don't know. I should have did my homework on this for all right. So I gotta go DC, man. I gotta go Derek Carr for $1. You can't pass on that. You know what? I'm gonna go Derek Carr, Ashton Genty, yes, over Marcus and Bo, Tim Brown, and Brock Bowers. That gives me 1, 2, 6, 7, 8. Oh shit! Wait, so I could go Bo. 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so I'm changing that up. I'm going Derek Carr, Bo Jackson, Tim Brown, and Brock Bowers. That's mine, and I'm sticking to it. I got Fernando Mendoza for a penny. Y'all give me that $4. Start at running back, wide receiver. All of them? Man, that's crazy talk. So, yeah, that's what we got on that. Stop sharing. If y'all want to participate, go ahead and participate. Let me know how y'all feel about it. And y'all could hear the audio last time or no? Let me know. Did y'all hear the audio? You couldn't hear the audio because I got another clip I want to play. And if you can't hear the audio, then it does no good to play the damn clip. You feel me? Wait, I didn't close out of it completely, did I? Fuck my life. All right. Son of a bitch. So the way that is set up, you could get AOC with the with the EBT card. Shut the fuck up. Oh. Fucking shit. You're not funny though. You're not funny though. You're not funny though. All right. So the next part I got is coming up right after this. Paul Gutierrez talking. All right. So somebody let me know. Could you hear the audio before or no? Yes or no? Yes or no, man? Could you hear the audio? I know it was really low, so maybe that's why you couldn't hear it, but could you possibly hear parts of it? I don't know. Anyways, let's pull this up. Share screen. Boom. And then I need to go over here and change this bitch to this one. This one. This one. Bam. All right. Let me try this one more time. I know there's a 45-second delay. So with a 45-second delay, it's going to play for a minute if y'all can't hear it before I can see that you can't hear it. Right? Y'all feel me? Feel me? Got me? All right, cool. Let's play this shit. Why is it so damn difficult? Can y'all hear it or no? Hey, I was able to turn on. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Then I got no clowns coming in here talking shit. That's cool. Could y'all hear it? Somebody let me know. Can y'all hear this or no? No? No audio? All right, what the fuck, man? Can't hear it? All right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Audio output should be fucking, I don't know, speakers and shit. All right, I got you. I got y'all. I'm gonna try one more time. Can you hear it now? Why ain't this shit playing? Still no sound? All right. Fuck it. This ain't working for me. Don't hear whatever you're playing. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I needed to know. All right. Well, I want to stop fucking sharing. All right, man. I don't know what the hell's up with the sound. This shit is pissing me off. Every time I try to play shit on YouTube, it doesn't work. So we will have it tomorrow. I will have to record it and then play it. Piece of shit. Yeah, because I'm not that smart. So can y'all hear me though? Are we back? Are we back? So basically, that was Donovan McNabb. You know, one of my favorite quarterbacks back in the day growing up. Was never an Eagles fan, but I love watching him play. You know, we won't get to the other part, but came in talking about Fernando Mendoza, and his belief is Fernando Mendoza might not be worth the first overall pick because the Raiders have so many needs. So this is coming from a quarterback. You also heard, the greatest quarterback in Raiders history, Derek Carr, say if he was the GM. What? I'm not matching my. What the fuck is going on, bro? Can you hear me now? Does it work now? What the fuck is going on here? So yeah, but that's Donovan McNabb, right? Former is he a Raider quarterback? Anyway, saying that he believes the Raiders just have too many holes. He believes Fernando Mendoza is that guy, but the Raiders should explore other options, right? If there is a trade, then yes, they should think about, possibly trading that pick and getting other draft picks. However, I'm going to disagree with Donovan McNabb and Derek Carr. And yes, as a Raider fan, for 50 years of my life, I reserve the right whenever I want to change my mind. And it's pretty much changed. I say draft Mendoza. This kid is special. This kid is very, very special. It took me a while to see it, but the more tape I watch, the more I listen to him talk in his interviews, the goofiness or not, this kid is one of a kind. He's one of a kind. And I keep trying to say, don't take him because there's so many quarterbacks, and I'm really, 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 really high on Arch Manning coming out next year or the year after. CJ Carr. There's just so many quarterbacks in this draft next year that I feel like could help this team. But then I look at Fernando Mendoza and I remember that last run that just keeps playing in my head that's telling me I'm being a bigot. And I'm not scouting this dude for his scout. right? For what he's worth. I'm hating on the kid because I want the future of the Raiders to be the future of the Raiders and somebody different. But the more I think about it, and the more I sit and meditate on it, and the more I watch film on it, and the more I hear this man talk, and the more that play comes back in my head over and over again of him bouncing off of people, doing 360s, diving, taking shots in the back. That wasn't the only time he did that shit. He did it throughout the season. He did it at Cal. This dude is a Raider. He's a Raider, bro. He's everything that it means to be a Raider. His mentality, his toughness, his physicality. Isn't that what we preach here? And I've said since I started doing YouTube in my whole life, right? Quarterback is all up here. You can have the arm, you can have the athleticism, but this kid has grown on me, man. He's grown on me, and he continues to grow on me. Every time I hear him talk, I'm like, we've taken chances in the past as a franchise, and they didn't work. Having the number one pick overall, a franchise quarterback that's won a Heisman Trophy, has not worked out for many, many, many teams. But I'm going to say this. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time that a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback drafted first overall turns out to be that guy. And I don't want him to turn out to be that guy on another team. Because if this dude stays healthy, I don't care what his upside is. I don't care what his ceiling is. Quarterbacks are going to come and go, right? They're going to last. They're not going to last. But if you're telling me this kid in a Klint Kubiak system at 6'5" and 220 something pounds cannot stand in a pocket and throw the ball to wide open receivers in a Klint Kubiak system, I'm telling you, you're smoking crack, bro. If you're telling me that this kid does not have that special it factor that people, want to say, doesn't have the pocket awareness, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. I think he does. I think he has, I think he has everything he needs to help this team be successful, right? He's already got the fan base, most of it, at the palm of his hands. And I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad at all whatsoever if they went and drafted this kid. But again, I'm not going to be mad whatsoever if they decide to trade out because they believe that's best for the future, right? For a long, long time, for the first time in a long, long time in my life, I kind of trust the organization. I kind of trust the powers to be. And being a rebel, that's not easy to say, right? Not easy to say. I always go against the grain. I go against everything that everybody else is saying constantly. And usually I'm right. But this time, man, it's just hard. It's very, very hard to say don't draft this kid because of next year. That's my only reason, is looking at the quarterbacks last year. I thought about it really hard. I watched the film. Is he special in his own way? Yes. Can he make all the throws? I believe so. And if you look at the history of the NFL and the way it's going over the last 5 years, there's not a whole lot of plays thrown over 25 yards, 35 yards, 45 yards. These plays come maybe once a game, right? And if we don't have somebody that can throw the ball 60 yards downfield, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that if we just win, baby. Shout out for the $2 holla. Don't hear whatever you're playing. Okay, I got all that shit. We're past that. No sound matching your voice sounds. Rosetown says, Get a guy and fill in the pieces in free agency and the draft. Build through a rookie quarterback. You got a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. Yes, it's going to be the number one overall pick. So yes, you're going to be making, 8 million, 9 million a season, whatever they're paying that number one pick overall now. I don't know what Caleb Williams is getting or any of those guys. But yeah, you got him on a young rookie deal. You got a kid that's in the playbook. You got a kid that's not worried about women. Maybe Vegas ain't the greatest place. I've been on record to say that. I don't believe Vegas is the best place for him. There's beautiful women all over the place. And most of them, okay, I won't say that, but a lot of them have jobs. A lot of them have jobs in clubs out there. So I'll go there. But yeah, man, this kid, dude, I don't know. I'll take I will take 2 years to be competitive and going in the right path, just like the Bears. I don't even know if it'll take that, really. I mean, I'm looking at Kubiak's style, and I'm looking at he's probably going to more than likely bring in his offensive line coach. He's more than likely going to bring in his quarterback coach, which, I would rather have Bo Hardigree, who just got picked up again. Just passed on, man. There's Bo Hardigree is a gem, and that dude's gonna be a head coach one day. Y'all remember that shit. Bo Hardigree is gonna be one of them ones. He's gonna get his opportunity. That dude was a genius. What he did with Aiden O'Connell, what he's done with Cam Ward over there in his first year, man. People are sleeping on that dude, and I really, really, really wish they would have brought him in here. A red hand pointing up. Fader Raider, shout out for the $2. Appreciate you. Who cares what they think? Derek Carr laid on the field crying against the Colts, and Donovan McNabb threw up on the field in the Super Bowl. Fuck them both. Oh my God, bro. Lawrence is such a critic, dude. Have you ever played football? Have you ever played in a big game or a championship game or, the state championship or any shit like that? Because, man, if you did and you didn't have butterflies, I'm not saying you have to throw up, but come on, man. People that love the game and, are in their biggest moment with all of it riding on your shoulders as a quarterback, I can see you throwing up. Like, shit, I've seen a lot of NFL players do that shit. Some players do it like every time they get on the field, like just to start the game in regular games. So, that's crazy talk, but to each his own. Keep building through the draft and free agency. Look at Anthony Richardson. He has the frame, physical traits, but mental ain't there. Gave up on his team and isn't confident. 100% facts. My guy Lawrence says, let me ask you this, Rebel. Where would you rank Spytech as far as GMs? What that's kind of hard to see. That's hard to say right now. Right now, the places that he's been and where he's came from, being a scout over there at Denver, right? Behind Gary Kubiak, they won a Super Bowl. He was bringing those players in, right? Then he goes to, Philly for a while, right? Then he's in Tampa Bay. He's a big part, so everybody says, of bringing Tom Brady to the team, of building that offensive lineman. He gets credit for drafting Christian Wirth. That was his guy as a scout. If I'm looking at all that shit, I have Spytank ranked very, very highly. Like, I know a lot of people hate on him because of this year's draft, but mark my words. Out of the 11 people, minus the 2 that we got rid of, out of those 9 players, 6 or 7 of those dudes are going to be starters in the NFL. Ashton Jeanty, Jack Beck, Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant. I think Cody Lindenberg also. And then who else did he draft? Tonka Hemingway. Tonka Hemingway, I think, is going to show people this year that he should have been playing as a rookie way more than he got to play. His physical traits, his athleticism, his violent hands, Tonka Hemingway showed a lot to me when he was out there. Showed a lot that I would be like, damn, why ain't this dude playing all 3 downs? So as a rookie, so I like Tonka Hemingway. I like JJ Pegues that we didn't see a lot of. And I feel like all these dudes are going to help out. Stefan, shout out for the $4 hippo character, waves his hand in front of his neck and an awkward look in his face that signals that the player is done. I don't know why it just doesn't pop up on here. That's so weird. But shout out, man. Shout out to the $4 holla. So I don't know, but if I'm looking at some of these GMs around the league, right? Some of them don't make the brightest moves. Some of them don't make the best decisions. And I think Spytek is one of those dudes that got this job because of the talks in the NFL of, who he was, constantly bringing his name up. The fact that he worked with Tom Brady, I'm sure helped. But, even after that, bringing in Baker Mayfield, right? When Tom Brady left, he was part of that. So Spytek has been on 3 good organizations, all Super Bowl champions while he was in the building. That's a very deep pedigree. It's a guy that has been a scout his whole entire life until, he started moving up into other positions, right? He's been the assistant GM under guys. So we'll have to wait and see, man. We'll have to wait and see. I say give him, he's got a 5-year contract. After this year's, it's hard to even say anything about last year's draft. The only one you could really kind of evaluate is Ashton Genty. In my opinion, it wouldn't be fair to evaluate Ashton Genty with the offensive line he had, with the offensive coach he had, offensive line coach, and the offensive run game coordinator was Brennan Carroll. So it's not fair to evaluate Ashton Genty, even though, we broke down tapes and I've said before, I think Ashton Genty, his vision wasn't what I thought it was going to be coming out of college. There was a lot of plays left on the field that I thought he could have made. But the more I look at his demeanor on the sidelines, on the field, after games, I don't think it had to do with his vision. I think he was just done with the season early on. Like he was like, bro, this, if there's a hole and I get lucky, I'm gonna run my ass off to that point. So I don't think it's fair to evaluate Ashton Genty with the shit. He went through 2 offensive line coaches in his first year as a rookie. He broke all rookie records for Raiders. I think that says something. That's a damn good pick. Jack Beck is, Puka Nakua. I gotta get Lawrence riled up. But no, Jack Best, dude, I'm telling you, in the right offense, is gonna be that type of dude that you could throw the ball to anytime, and he's gonna come down with it 75% of the time. So I like Spytek's draft. I really, really do. I think it was ruined by bad coaching, by bad personnel decisions from the coaches, right? And I feel like we're going to see a lot of these players that were drafted last year show their worth next year. The reason I asked is because Mendoza is just one piece to the puzzle. It's the other players he drafted this year and next will show us where he's going in the future. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. Like I said, we got to put it in give him another year. But Mendoza, I mean, are we really going to give Spytek credit for drafting Mendoza? I don't think, I think you get an asterisk by that, right? In my opinion, right? Let me know y'all's opinion. But in my opinion, I think you get an asterisk by that. He's the best quarterback in the draft, supposedly. He's the only quarterback anybody's taken in the first round, right? Because the great team he was on, and I think him being on that great team, like I said before, it was a lot of his success was because of the great team he was on. But I think a lot of his success in the NFL will come because he was on that great team, right? So that's how I feel about that. And yeah, again, this year's draft, like I said, from what he does from the second round on, we'll see. And I liked last year, there was some players I was shaking my head at that were sitting there on the board when he traded back, right, to get Jack Besh. There were some players on the board in the third round when he picked, and I forgot Darian Porter. Darian Porter is going to be a stud in this league, man. His athleticism, his speed, his physicality, his awareness. He showed me a lot, with what he had to go through being the best player, I thought, on our defensive backfield and not getting to play. I think that proved his worth. He didn't put his head down. When he got his opportunity, he went out and balled. And I believe Spytek's going to continue to build guys like that. I think this year, if they go offensive line, we'll see. Do they go offensive line in free agency? Do they get some young safeties, young linebackers? Where does he go and how does he build this team? And I think that's going to be key for my evaluation on what I think Spytek is right now. Rosetown says, confidence got him. And he questioned himself this year. Genty will go if we get a legit O-line and use his speed for the run game in the NFL. Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I think he put his head down because everybody in the building seen what was going on, right? They knew the offensive line coach was trash. Everybody knew it was a Pete Carroll problem. Couldn't fire his son. Couldn't fire the run game coordinator / O-line coach. And it was a big, big problem. And Genty knew that, right? If you go back and watch some of his press conferences, he made little slight innuendos, right? About the coaching staff and about the team and playtime and being used in certain situations, right? So the kid stuck it out. He's going to learn from it. It's on, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say. And I think he's going to be better for it. I think he's going to come out with a little chip on his shoulder. I think you could get better offensive line, better blocking in front of him, will help. But I don't think that he goes with the offensive line, right? I think you just got to stop Ashton Genty getting hit in the backfield 59% of the time. If you take that out of the equation and he doesn't get hit in the backfield, but maybe 5% or 10% of the time, this kid is going to have a huge season, man. Huge season. Beck will be a solid number 2, bro. He needs more reps and experience. Tucker good to improving. We need a free agent number 1. Pearson free agency. And we will get to free agency right after I read these last couple comments. Pearson in number 1, but he can be reliable. Arnie Garza in the building. Question: would you trade Max for 2 first-round picks from the Jets? Absolutely. 100%. If you're telling me that you're going to give me 2 first rounds in 1 year, and one of those picks is number 2, and I could get Arvell Flippin' Reese or David Bailey, bye, Max. you want me to help you pack up? You want me to pack up that house that you've been rebuilding and working on and shit? And I hear people with these clown ass takes saying, "Oh, Max Crosby will never leave. He's remodeling his home. He's adding on to his home." That dude can afford a home in every fucking state there is. Like, do you really think that he has to sell his home in Las Vegas if he doesn't play for the Raiders? Shit, he'll just have his boys over there move into Vegas and stay there. Shit, like that house ain't going nowhere, bro. I don't think he's worried about it's a vacation house, which he doesn't take vacations. All he does is, play in the building all day. So, yeah, would I trade Max for 2 and 16? Absolutely, 100%. And at 2 and 16, I'll tell you right now, I'd probably take Arbel Reese, and if he was there, I would take Sonny Styles. I would take both linebackers. Yes, in the first round. And if you're telling me that I couldn't replace Max Crosby with 2 first-round linebackers, pass Dohuchi to the left-hand side. That's all I got to say. All right, so let's get into this. The last part of this. Lawrence says he would. He would. All right, share screen. And this screen will be this, and this one, and that one, and this one, and that one. And then I need to share this screen. What the fuck just happened? Where's my screen? All right. I guess I'll do that. Why don't this ever work like it's supposed to, bro? Media row. I can erase that one. I don't know what the hell just happened. Jeez Louise, bro. I could throw in AOC with that trade. Stop playing. You ain't throwing AOC ain't going nowhere, bro. He's gonna be the starter for the next 15 years. Question. I got to that. Question. How about the Lions? First round, next 2 years, plus St. Brown. Arnie Garza. Arnie Garza. What were you sipping the sauce today, my brother? Because usually your questions are spot on. But there is no way the Detroit Lions are giving up a first round the next 2 years plus Armand St. Brown. I would absolutely make that deal. Matter of fact, I would help St. Brown pack up all his shit. I would drive his shit to Vegas, and then I'd pack up Max's shit and drive him to Detroit. I would help both of them. I'd help both of them go. Are Bears next 2 first round picks plus Rome Odunze next year? Yes, I would do that too. I would absolutely take Rome Odunze, bro. Hell yeah. Rome Odunze in their next 2 first rounds. Where are they picking this year? In the 20s? I'm gonna have to say yeah on that. I feel yeah. Yeah. How could you not? How could you not? Live Super Bowl media. Yeah, don't get rid of that one. That's mine. All right, let me try to pull this up one more time. One more time. Share screen. Share to your mom. Where's the damn window? Is that it? I don't know. Let's see. That's me, motherfucker. That ain't gonna work. Stop sharing. What? Share screen. Oh, I picked the right one. My bad, peeps. I got y'all. All right, let's try this now. Does this work? No. All right, what the fuck is going on? Why can't I see the screen? Killing me, Smalls. Killing me here. All right, I got this one. Boom. All right. Okay. All right. So here we got Trey Hendrickson. Actually, I got to change this shit around. I'm gonna get lit for this ad. But it's okay. Because we'll figure it out. All right. Here we go. So we have ESPN has ranked top 25 draft picks. I mean, top 25 free agents. The hell am I smoking today? All right, top 25 free agents ranked by ES to the P to the N, right? And this is what they got. As soon as I figure out how to move the shit. Trey Hendrickson, a relentless defender off the edge with a deep toolbox of counters and a knack of making plays. Leighton Downs. In 7 games this season, he had 4 sacks. 4 sacks. Bye-bye, Max. He has 17 and a half sacks and 65 pressures in 2024, where were league highs. Hendrickson would immediately upgrade just about any team's defensive line. Now, what would he be worth? It doesn't matter if you trade Max Crosby, right? Trade Max Crosby, you bring in a Trey Hendrickson with 17 and a half sacks last year. That's 3.5 sacks more than Max Crosby has ever had in a season. And he's only had 3 seasons with 10 plus sacks, or two seasons with 10 sacks, 1 over 10 sacks. That was 14 and a half. So if you're telling me that I could trade Max Crosby and I could get Travion Henderson, yo, where do I sign up? How do I sign up? Who do I talk to? What do I got to do? Where do I got to go? Right? That's my take on that.
Hollywood level animation from your photo.
Sorry, I got to see what this damn screen sees because I don't know what's going on with my shit over here. All right, that's better. All right, so Trey Hendrickson, I believe, could very, very, very well be in the radar, in the sights of the Las Vegas Raiders. Aging, entering 2006 season, he is 31, but that doesn't matter, man. This dude is an absolute monster. The Bengals, hasn't worked out there. I don't see them bringing him back, in my opinion. But if you're telling me I could get a guy with 17 and a half sacks, bro, I'm 100% all in, like Flynn, right? Next up, you have George Pickens. Oh, and I believe Trey Hendrickson, if he doesn't end up with the Las Vegas Raiders, I see his time with the Bengals being done. There's a lot of teams that I would look for. One I would think of is the Titans, right? They just got a new head coach in Robert Saleh. I think a guy like, Hendrickson would be a guy that would fill that spot. You also got to look at who else was I going to say? Fucking I forgot. Oh, the Ravens with their new head coach over there, right? George Pickens. Not much to talk about George Pickens. More than likely, I feel like the Cowboys will franchise tag him. He's already said he wouldn't mind being franchise tag. He wants to be in Dallas, and it's hard to get players, to buy into another system that want to be somewhere else. So for me, I'm out on George Pickens. Tyler Lindenbaum. There's a lot of talk about the Raiders are going to be in the running for Tyler Lindenbaum. I'm here to tell you, and you heard it here first, don't listen to all those other people, right? Tyler Lindenbaum, more than likely, goes to the Giants with Jim Harbaugh. If he doesn't, I would look for him to end up as the center with the Cleveland Browns and Todd Monken. They know him, right? He knows their system. He doesn't have to, learn new language, none of that shit, right? So Lindenbaum, there's going to be a lot of people in the mix. I don't see him being a Baltimore Raven. Those are just two teams I've thrown out there, John Harbaugh and the Cleveland Browns and Todd Monken. From, being from Baltimore, but I think there's probably 20, 25 teams, being in the mix. And speaking of that, I forgot to tell you the rest of the Jay Glazer thing. So what Jay Glazer was saying about Max Crosby, and I know this is off subject, but he said as soon as he put that out there, that Max Crosby's time he feels is done in Las Vegas, 20 teams, 20 different teams called his phone to say, is this true? 20. So more than likely, there's a lot of teams that want Max, and it'll be a frenzy. And when you have a center like Tylen Lindenbaum, at 26 years old, with a 97, his pass blocking win rate was a 97.2, tied for second among 31 qualifying centers. And I do believe that's one of the tops in history, having the hell just happened there? Yeah, but having a 97.2 win rate it's absolutely freakish. And I would love to have Tyler Lindenbaum. I just don't feel like he's in the Raiders price range, even though we have 90 million plus. Some people say 100, some people say it's going to be 105 now because they upped it. We'll get into all that. We don't know what it's going to be. Daniel Jones. More than likely, I would say Daniel Jones goes back to the Colts. I think they keep him for one more year. And then, maybe pass the reins over to a Riley Leonard. The kid seemed like he has a lot of potential. A guy I had very high on my draft board in my top 3 quarterbacks, and people thought I was crazy. But I believe it's not going to be Anthony Richardson, the future. They're going to try to trade him, but they sign him, when a guy leaves his team and walks off the field and taps out, shit, there's not too many people that are willing to take a chance on that kid. You're not a football player, in my opinion, but there will be some people in the running for Daniel Jones. My opinion is he goes back to the Indianapolis Colts, or I could see him going to the Minnesota Vikings, and giving JJ McCarthy time to learn, because the kid is 21 years old, right? Already 2 seasons in the NFL. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Daniel Jones over there. Jalen Phillips for the Eagles. There's a lot of talk that the Eagles want to retain him. They want to keep this man on the roster. I believe there's going to be a market for Jalen Phillips, 6'5" frame, an absolute dog. Didn't have the greatest year for the Falcons, right? But he has accounted for 28 sacks and 158 pressures over his 5-year career. I mean, not the greatest. I don't know if I'd take a chance on Jalen Phillips. Not high on my list, right? But there's some teams that'll definitely take a chance. I could see, again, a team like the Titans that need edge rushing, that need defensive line. Possibly even the Cardinals. I mean, with a new head coach over there. Alec Pierce is a wide receiver that a lot of Raider Nation, are loving. The white boy, 26 years old, 6'3", 211 pounds. I think we might even have one of those guys in the building. Like, they just don't get playtime, right? But I won't go that far. Alec Pierce is a damn good wide receiver. He runs damn good routes. He topped 1,000 yards receiving mark and brought in 6 touchdowns. He was the league's best 21.3 yards per catch in 2025. But those numbers declined when Daniel Jones declined. Those numbers declined when Jonathan Taylor declined. And it just goes back to the old average adage that I keep telling y'all, if you heard it anywhere, you heard it here a million times. This is a team sport. It doesn't matter how great your quarterback is. You know, if the O-line is not good, if the running game is not good, and you do not have receivers. So when the quarterback went down, so did Alec Pierce's, stats, but he had a hell of a good season, and most of it was at the start of the year with Daniel Jones. I don't know what the price tag would be, but if you're telling me you're going to pay Alex Pierce $20 to $25 million and we let go of Jacoby Myers, I just don't. I'm not buying in on that. He's not my number one. He's a lot of y'all's number one. I don't see it with Alec Pierce. I mean, shit, we got Alex Bachman, we got Jack Besh, we got Brock Bowers. We would have the widest receiving core in the history of the NFL. Like, oh wait, except for the New England Patriots back in the day. Bryce Hall, free agent. I don't see him being a Jet. There's a lot of teams that could use a running game. So, I see about 10, 15 teams in the running for a Bryce Hall. Again, the Titans would be another one of those teams that, I could see picking up. The Carolina Panthers, who were in the playoffs, I could see them picking up a Bryce Hall, bringing back a Rico Dow. That would be a nasty, nasty duo right there in the backfield, in my opinion. Rasheed Walker. Yes, 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 and yes, bro. Yes. If I'm the Raiders in free agency, he is number one on my list. Walker's pass blocking rate was a 93.8, 11 among 68 qualifying tackles. His technique could improve as he lacks a strong anchor. But I'm not worried about a strong anchor because you have Ashton Genty, who was one of the best pass blocking running backs in all of football last year as a rookie. So in pass protection, you're going to have a running back there to help you in the run game. Well, I don't know. But his footwork, his mobility, has the mobility to match speed and edge rushers, which we have lacked at the right tackle position since we have got DJ Glaze. Before that, when we had Thayer Munford at that position, the right tackle position has been soft like wet bread for a long, long time, and it's time to fill that with a big, gigantic plug on the offensive line. And Rasheed Walker, man, comes from a damn good system. And Matt LaFleur comes from the McVay system. They know how to use offensive line. They know how to use leverage and blocking schemes, and technique to bolster their run game. So Rasheed Walker is number one on my list. And then I don't know if he's number two on my list, but he's very, very high up there. And I don't know if Rasheed Walker is number one. We'll get to that in a minute. But tops, offensive line is number one. Odafe Owe, edge rusher. And I look at it like this. The Chargers got Khalil Mack from the Bears, but that was our guy. I believe we need to steal something from them, right? And I think Odafe is that guy. 27 years old, brings explosive pass rush. He gets off the ball in a hurry. He can also flatten out a path to maneuver around offensive tackles. After getting traded from the Ravens on October 7th, he has 7.5 sacks, 27 pressures in Los Angeles, and he recorded 3 sacks in the team's wild card loss to the Patriots. A guy that's proven his worth, a guy that can get to the quarterback, that you don't have to worry about, Malcolm Kuntz, who I believe they more than likely move on from. Tyree Wilson, I believe it's kind of time from him, even though he showed little spurts here and there. I just don't. I mean, I know he's got one more year on his contract, so maybe Tyree comes back for one more year, and this coach uses him to his strengths on the defensive line with his arm length to stop the run, right? And you bring in a guy like Odafe Owe. This dude is a monster, man. He's a monster. His arms are bigger than my legs, and we need a power rusher. We need a guy that can win with physicality, that can win with technique, that can win with strength, and he brings all of that. So would definitely be up on my list. Brandon Smith, the offensive tackle, right? Um, the right tackle, Mr. Smith, played his ass off for the Colts. He was a big reason Jonathan Taylor had a damn good. I think I gotta fill that first. Damn good reason Jonathan Taylor had, a big season at the beginning of the year, and shit continued through most of the year. This guy is a mammoth, man. He moves bodies. He is a plower. Not the way y'all are thinking. Get your mind out of the gutter, you sick people. He brings a big body dive blocker, 6'6", 312 pounds, easily matching power in his pass protection. Injuries have been a concern, as Smith has missed 17 games over the past 3 years. He has started in 13 games at right tackle for the Colts in 2025, and pass blocking rate is jumped 7% from 2024. So a guy who's taken leaps and bounds, but just like Colton Miller, just can't seem to get healthy. And it's not a knock on somebody, right? When you're playing tackle and you got these, these big ass freaks of nature who are breathing down your neck, coming in your face, pause if necessary, constantly, right? You're tripping over bodies, you're getting tangled up in a flock of people on the line, right? People falling on you, you're bound to get hurt. So I don't think he's injury prone. I just think he's one of those physical dudes that's, physical guys get hurt, right? I said this about Nate Hobbs when he was with the Raiders, right? He's one of those dudes that's physical. He's not afraid to lay the wood and put his whole body into a play. And guys like that are going to get hurt. So you want guys like that on your team. I would love to have a Brandon Smith. If you cannot pull off Rasheed Walker. John Franklin Myers, speaking of taking guys from divisions, right? We need a guy up front like a John Franklin Myers, a dude that is, doesn't really have the great lateral speed and bend to get pressure, but you don't need that. We just need him. We just need him on the defensive line, right? To stop the run, to let Max, if he's there, or whoever else is there, get to the quarterback and do their work, and make sure that quarterback does not have a spot to step up into the pocket to take off or to make a play, right? But he has an active inside rush who can play as a defensive tackle or the 5 technique. 6'4", 288-pound frame. He has 7.5 sacks and 23 pressures last season. I wouldn't mind taking on one of those guys. Alontae Taylor, 27 years old. Taylor's versatility from the New Orleans Saints, and Saints have damn good corners, right? They've always seemed to, develop corners pretty well over there. But Taylor's versatility and urgent play style show up on tape. He has speed to recover, He has the speed to cover receivers on the perimeter, but he can also make plays and be a disruptive role in the slot. In 4 seasons with the Saints, he has 4 interceptions, 40 pass breakups, and 7 sacks, bro. 7 sacks as a corner. I think Alontae would be a guy that, you throw money at, throw a bag at. I don't know what his stats are or his measurements. Not the measurements y'all are thinking on. I don't know how tall he is or what he weighs. It doesn't say on here. We'll do maybe more of that in a bit. But I think Alontae Taylor is a guy that you definitely have to look at bringing in for the Raiders at 27 years old. If they don't keep it Eric Stokes, even if they do keep it Eric Stokes, right? Bring in competition. You get 94 guys or 92 guys, whatever it is, to bring into camp. Bring these guys in. If they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. Walker's explosive creates Query Walker. Query Walker is a dog linebacker. Playmaker inside. He could cover ground as a run and hit defender. Plus, he diagnoses the run game at a very quick rate. He averaged 4.9 tackles on designed pressure runs, 11th highest in the NFL. Overall, Walker had 2.5 sacks, 8 tackles for a loss, and 4 pass breakups. In coverage, damn good linebacker. I wouldn't mind bringing in. And some of y'all might remember, some of y'all might not remember, but 2 years ago, I told y'all, if the Raiders and Pete Carroll did not work out, that they were going after a young coach. And if I have to pull up the receipts, I will. But they were going after a young coach, and they would buy a Super Bowl very, very soon. By that, I mean that $100+ million we got, they're going to bring in some dogs, right? They're going to bring in some dogs. So by buying the Super Bowl, I mean you spend your money wisely. You bring in the top talent at that position. And even if it, puts you in a bind for the next year at the cap, it doesn't matter as long as these guys are on the books for a three-year deal. And that's how you work with that. So Reek Woolen is an absolute dog, 27 years old. Just fits that Raider style. You see him getting penalties, talking shit to the bench in the playoff game that could have cost him the playoff game. The Rams just couldn't score and capitalize off of it. But 6'4", long arms, right? A guy that can play press, he can play in the zone, physical as hell. I already said can cover both two-way zones. Mike Evans, man, we need a number one receiver, right? Mike Evans is a guy that's had 1,000 yards, but at his age at 33, I don't think he's looking to come to a Raiders rebuild. Where he would go, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be absolute slap in the face and an insult to Mike Evans. Like I said, a guy that was drafted there. He's had 1,000 yards receiving every year. He's been a Buck. It would be a travesty and a crime to let Mike Evans walk out of the building, no matter what he wanted at 33, in my opinion. I mean, he's not going to be there too much longer, so you might as well pay the guy his money. Raider Paul in the building. What's good? Appreciate you, G Ward. Appreciate you in the building. Jason Ruiz, I see you. Next up, we have Jalen Watson, man, Kansas City Chiefs, right? Not a lot of people like the Chiefs, not a lot, but the Chiefs are taking players from us lots and lots. Watson is a high-end playmaker, but he has the length to challenge in the press. And on routes awareness, play down to the ball in the zone scheme. We don't really need that guy if we keep Jeremy Chin, who is on contract, right? So, as much as I would love to steal somebody away from the Chiefs, I say no. Malik Willis, we've seen what he's done with the Green Bay Packers, and I believe it's time for him to go get his job. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at a place somewhere like Arizona, right? If he ends up at a place, maybe even like a Minnesota. I just don't think the Raiders is a fit. He's a small guy. You have to move the pocket. You have to have, lanes. You have to have an offensive line like the Green Bay Packers do to make this man successful, in my opinion. But he had an 85.7 completion rate on his throws, rushed for 127 yards, and scored 4 touchdowns last year. Remarkable player, right? He's learned the game. He's paid his dues. And I think it's time for Malik Willis to go get his bag. And, I just don't think the Raiders is for him. I wouldn't want him to be on this team when you're going to draft a quarterback like Fernando Mendoza and him, just waste his time here. I don't think he's a guy that's going to help Mendoza grow into, his shit. Travis Etienne. The Jags, more than likely, I think, will franchise tag this man. They will bring him back. Let me know in the comments if any of these guys stand out to you. Type hashtag in their name, so when I get back to the comments, I can see them and let y'all know what I think, and show love to y'all's comments. But Ian Teen at 27 years old, man, is a dude that can catch out of the backfield. He can run, between the tackles. He can get skinny on the line of scrimmage and, and fit through those holes. He's got a little bit of a burst, not super fast. Had 36 catches in 2025. Was a big reason why this Jacksonville team was in the playoff. He had 116 yards in a game they lost to the Buffalo Bills right in the playoffs. But there's also a lot of drafts, depending on how much money he wants, right? If he's wanting, 10, 12, something like that, the Jags might move on from him. And there's a lot of teams that I could see go pick him up. I didn't really do homework on who all needs, running backs in this draft, but there's always, always a need for a running back like a Travis Etienne. But like I said, if they can't work out a contract, I don't know who else they have over there. They would franchise tag, and I think Etienne would be that guy. Ooh, that got warm quick. Devin Lloyd, my number one target. And I know you're going to say, well, we just brought in a 27-year-old, and that 27-year-old named Devin White, regardless of what the clowns say, Devin White had a hell of a year. He's not a cover corner linebacker. I've said this before, right? You put a man out of his comfortability at 27 years old, where he's getting up there in prime, past his prime, I guess, possibly for a linebacker, was never the fastest guy, was a Super Bowl MVP, I think, or should have been, right? So Devin White, I thought, played his ass off. Devin Lloyd is a whole nother story, man. This dude's on the ball wherever it is at. He had 5 interceptions on the season. That is crazy in coverage for a linebacker to have 5 interceptions. Returned 1 for a touchdown. He's a solid starter who flashed high-level ability, but he's a guy that you can blitz, you can put in coverage, right? 5 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. Just an all-around playmaker for Devin Lloyd. And I think he would be great if you trade a Max Crosby and you bring in an Arvell Reese. Are you bringing a David Bailey? Are you bringing any of these guys, right? CJ Allen, Jacob Rodriguez, Tommy freaking Eichenberg, right? I think Cody Lindenberg would all learn from a Devin Lloyd. And to me, that needs to be a top target. Maybe I should have broke down. I'll get to your comments in a minute. I see them, but I just can't read them. I'm trying to get through these. We are almost through. Devin Lloyd would be a target. Isaiah Likely is likely not a target for the Las Vegas Raiders. He will likely go somewhere else. I don't think he stays with the Ravens. I think they have a whole lot of problems over there. There's a lot of teams that need tight ends. And again, another one that stands out to me would be a decent spot for Isaiah Likely would be the Titans again. They have decent money over there, right? They have guys they could trade if they had to. And I see the Titans being one of those teams that, goes from the bottom to the top. Now we hear, right? Romeo Doubs, just kind of a, smaller receiver, not kind of what we need, right? So I'm going to pass on Romeo Doubs, but I think teams will definitely take a chance. Off the top of my head, I think the Cleveland Browns would be a nice spot for Romeo Doubs. Give, Shador Sanders kind of that, that guy that can get open, that, when plays break down, you're going to find a Romeo Doubs. He's not a guy that's going to go just run his route and stop, right? He's going to move around. He's going to help the quarterback. So I wouldn't mind seeing Romeo Doubs over there, help a young kid. Khalil Mack, man, a lot of people want Khalil Mack back to the Raiders. And if we trade Max Crosby, I would not mind bringing Khalil Mack. I don't care if he's 35. I don't want to hear that nonsense. He finished with only 5.5 sacks, 28 pressures, but he was not on the field 100% of the snaps like Max Crosby. He was, matter of fact, not even on the field 70% of the snaps, I don't believe. So Khalil Mack is a guy that if you get rid of a Crosby, bring him back to the Raiders, let him retire where he started. I think he deserves that if he wants to come back here, which I don't know why he would the way we did him. But I wouldn't be mad at bringing back Khalil Mack back to, bring in help help mentor some of these young guys. If we keep a Malcolm Kuntz, right, maybe a Tyree Wilson, Charles Snowden, and then whoever we get in the draft, David Bailey or one of those guys, because if we trade a Max Crosby, I'm sure we can get one of those high draft picks. Kyle Pitts is going to be a name that a lot of people are beating down the door to, and again, Tennessee, right, needs a tight end. Probably would even help out a team like Seattle that's in the Super Bowl, right? I would, the Patriots, Hunter Henry, right? Been there for a while. They could use a young playmaker like a Kyle Pitts. I think that would be a nice spot for him. Not for the Raiders. Kenneth Walker III is a free agent. Man, if it wasn't no crazy cost, and I think when you win a Super Bowl, if Seattle wins the Super Bowl, I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl, but if Seattle wins the Super Bowl, the price may be a little bit out of the range for a Kenneth Walker, and I'd more rather draft Mike Washington Jr. in the second round or the third round. More than likely, it has to be the second. I don't see this dude going past the second, my Arkansas Razorback. But Kenneth Walker, man, built like Ashton Genty, got them big-ass legs, right? A small guy, 5'8", 5'9", that's, 220-something pounds. Physical runner, strong. And damn, would that be a hell of a duo. I just don't think the Raiders can afford it. And I don't see the Seattle Seahawks letting him leave the building. He'll be franchise tagged. He'll be brought back. Safety Brian Cook, a rangy safety. With top down speed, Cook fits both split field and single high schemes. In 2022, he was the second pick. The second round pick is the highest ranked player for his position on the list. Damn, so he was the highest pick safety in 2022. He had 6 pass breakups in 2025, playing 82.6% of Kansas City snaps. Definitely a guy, in my opinion, nothing against Isaiah Palamau, but definitely a better cover safety. A guy that, is a little bit faster, maybe knows ball a little bit more. And then, right? If you're getting, okay, that would be next, but top receiver on my list is this man right here. Number 26, Rashid Shaheed. Man, you get 3 for 1. 3 for 1. You get a kick returner, which the Raiders Lord, please give us one. So desperately need a kick returner. I've been waiting for 20 years for us to run a damn kick return back or a punt return back, and people jump up and scream, right, as they're running down the field, and it never happens. It never happens. We just don't have those guys. Rashid Shaheed would be that guy. 100% would be that guy. Throw him the money, whatever you got to do. The Raiders need a number one receiver. That's your number one receiver. That's your kick returner. That's your punt returner. He fills 3 needs with 1 signing. Go out and get Rashid. I think that needs to be tops on the Raiders list, in my opinion. And I believe with Klint Kubiak coming in, he's going to know that, right? He's going to look at Dante Thornton and be like, nah, bro, nah. You got another year, possibly. You got to work on the catching, and I hope he's standing in front of that machine that spits balls out 100 miles an hour, catching balls all off season, because I think Dante Thornton could be that guy, but he's just got some work to do. So I believe Klint Kubiak is going to look at free agency, look at his guys and be like, I could bring in a guy that knows the verbiage, that can help, teach the young guys the verbiage to speed up their process, right? So Rashid is on my list. And then the biggest guy on my list, bro, really, from a defensive standpoint, is K'Lavon Chasen. Will he be willing to come back to the Raiders? Probably not. Are the Patriots gonna bring this man back? More than likely. But if you look at it, the former first rounder had a career best with 7.5 sacks, 32 pressures, plus added 3 more sacks for his team in the 3 playoff games. K'Lavon Chasen, a guy that was let go for a measly $3.5 million. John Spytek, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should hide your face and letting guys like this go. And he did come up and say he made a mistake letting guys go in the offseason, and he learned from that. Now learn from it and make that shit right. K'Lavon Chasen needs to be a Raider, right? He had his breakout year with us. Bring the man back, especially if you get rid of Max Crosby. Bring this dude back. Let him, be the guy. It was crazy that we paid Malcolm Kuntz $12 million. I loved Malcolm Kuntz. I said I wanted him back. I thought 12 million was way too high. It should have been somewhere around 8, 9, right? Coming off an injury. And he didn't do shit last year. Absolutely nothing. And they let K'Lavon Chasen walk for $3.5 million. It's a tragedy. So I would love to see K'Lavon Chasen come back if he wants to come back. But the way he was done by the Raiders, I'm sure that ship has sailed. But the man is a dog. Jawan Jennings, free agent, 29 years old, another guy that, can be that number one for us, a guy that can do all kinds of things in the backfield. He can pass the ball, he can run. I would rather have Rashid Shaheed, really, in my opinion, a guy that could take up 3 positions on the field. But I wouldn't mind Jennings. Javonte Williams, Cowboys. Man, he's going to get a bag, and it's not even near what we are willing to give. We have our guy, but we need that 1-2 punch. And I don't think it'll be in free agency. More than likely, they'll probably draft another guy, in my opinion, or maybe they go free agent wise. But Javonte is going to get a lot of looks. I see him going back to Dallas. In my opinion, I don't see them letting him walk out of the building. I think they re-sign him, but they probably should have did that during the season. But I think he had a hell of a year. I think he fits that, what they're trying to do over there in Dallas. If they bring back Pickens, and then you got Dak, and you got that nasty bulldozing offensive line. The offense wasn't the problem with the Dallas Cowboys. It was definitely their defense. So I would look for him to come back. Bo Mafe, 27 years old. Watch him in the Super Bowl. And then let me know how you think about him. But has a damn good quick first step, which we've been lacking in Tyree Wilson and Malcolm Kuntz the last couple of years. I wouldn't be mad at that. Appreciate everybody in the building still commenting. I'll get to them in a minute. We almost there. Arnie Garza says, what? I'll get to that in a minute. One more second. I got roll through these. Isaac, Pittsburgh Steelers guard, Isaac Samalo. I think it's a damn good guard, right? Samalo had a 97.3 pass rush win rate. He was 65 among qualifying guards, and his 76.9 run blocking grade would be better than anybody we have on the Raiders right now when it comes to run blocking. But I just don't feel like guard is a position we need. I think our offensive line needs a center and a right tackle and a left tackle for the future. Now, if we can get those and, some backups, I think it's a win-win situation. Where do I think he's going to go? If Pittsburgh doesn't retain him, which would be crazy for them not to, because, guards like that don't come a dime a dozen, right? They're not a high commodity. So, they're a high commodity, but they're not, high availability. So I look for him to stay in Pittsburgh. If not, I could see him going to, I don't know, maybe a team like the Giants, another team like the Titans. They need better offensive line. Cardinals possibly. I don't know. There'll be a lot of people in the mix. Next up, Reed Blankenship, safety. For the Eagles, not coming off his best year, right? Not somebody I would take a chance on. Zion Johnson, Los Angeles Chargers. Don't know where he's going to go, but it's not something I would take a chance on. Greg Newsome, if you watch this channel 2 years ago, I wanted them to trade for Greg Newsome. I thought he would, he would be that guy. He's had a rough, go of it. I think he did pretty damn good at Jacksonville. He has 4 career interceptions, 33 pass breakups in 5 seasons. Not the greatest. I think the guy just needs somebody to, to show him some love. But now 26, like your speed is getting slower, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Greg Newsome. I would rather have Eric Stokes, if it's my opinion. Connor McGovern. Now, Buffalo Bills, Connor McGovern is somebody that I would take a chance on, right? You're looking at Tyler Lindenbaum, right? Everybody wants Tyler Lindenbaum in the building for the Raiders. I think his price is going to be a little bit higher than McGovern's. And more than likely, the Buffalo Bills bring this guy back because he's the center for Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is not going to try to let go of his guy, right? He had a 97.2 pass blocking win rate in 2025, which tied for second among 31 qualifying centers, which is, huge. So I know a lot of people want to see JPJ in the dinosaur arms. No, I'm just kidding. JPJ back at center, and I wouldn't mind that. But, man, if you got a chance to go get a physical, dominating center that has a 97.2 pass blocking win rate, you take a chance on McGovern 100%. David Edwards from the Buffalo Bills, 29, definitely another good option. Played quarterback in basketball in high school, so he's definitely athletic, a guy that can, pull if you're running that kind of system. I didn't see too many guards pulling in the Kubiak system. I could be wrong. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But, a guard. I think the Raiders are good at guard, right? We got Lackey Tassie, who's going to develop. We have Caleb Rogers. They should bring back Jordan Meredith, right? You have JPJ. That's 4 guards right there. You only keeping 9 or 10 guys on the offensive line. And I think we got our guys, right? The Chicago Bears, Nashawn Wright, 6'4", 199 pounds. Wright had a career best 5 interceptions in 2025. Comes from that Ben Johnson team coached over there by the Bears, right? Also comes from the Dennis Allen, I do believe. Isn't Dennis Allen the coach for the Chicago Bears, defensive coordinator? So another former Raider. We know how he is with corners. I like this dude. I like Nashawn Wright. Absolutely 100%. 27 years old. Does he take away from the play of Darian Porter Jr. getting on the field? Possibly. So for that, I don't know. At 6'4", you're a little big to be playing in the slot. I don't know where he played for the Chicago Bears, but I would definitely take a flyer on Nashawn Wright. Joey Bosa, edge rusher. Chikangangwe, tight end. We don't need to talk about that. Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he'll be back with the Giants. I think he had a damn good year. Has at least 92 receptions in each of his past 2 seasons. So a guy that, come on, man, he could catch 100 balls, but he's only 5'8" and 185 pounds, which, we already have a slot in Trey Tucker, which join me tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about these free agencies. I don't know if Trey Tucker fits what Klint Kubiak's trying to do, and I could believe that's one of those guys that gets moved on as a body. Cam Curl, 100% would bring him in as a safety, a durable defender who has played in at least 16 games over the past 3 seasons, right? So not a guy that gets hurt. He's a guy that's had big plays in the playoffs. And if the Raiders could bring in a guy like Cam Curl, I'm willing to absolutely move on from Isaiah Palamau. I mean, he's been here, 4 years now? Hasn't turned out to be the guy. It doesn't seem like, there's much development there. I think he might be at his ceiling. Cover wise, right? Speed wise, I don't think any of that's going to get any better. Knowledge wise, I think could be. So Cam Curl is the dude that's definitely on my list. And I should have been making a note of all these. Joe Patino, guard for Cleveland Browns, definitely a physical guard, savvy technique, had a 96.4 pass blocker rate in 2025. That was third amongst, guards. I don't see Cleveland moving off of him. If they have to franchise tag him, I see them, bringing him back. But I wouldn't mind having him on the Raiders either. If you're telling me right now that, there's a chance that maybe for $40 million that we could bring in a Joe Bonito. Who is the other fat cats? Joe Bonito. Fuck, I forget his name. And Rasheed Walker, right? Joe Bonito, Rasheed Walker, and Braden Smith, and maybe possibly move on from a Colton Miller. Shit, I wouldn't be mad at that at this point either. Colton Miller has had some problems. Sorry if that's killing your eyeballs, but trying to catch back up to where I was. Miller, injury prone the last couple years. We went and paid him $20 million for the next 3 years. Somebody would take on that contract. But I could really see a scenario, and I called this last year, right, in the middle of the year. If Max Crosby leaves, look for the Raiders, Oakland Raiders legacy to start becoming a lot more Vegas, right? All the guys from Oakland will be gone very soon. I don't think Daniel Carlson comes back this year. If you trade Max and you trade, possibly move on from a Colton Miller, right, in a trade package, because you just don't think he could be healthy with his age. And I said last year, right, when everybody was bitching, sign Colton Miller, I was like, sign the dude, right? Sign the dude because it's going to ruin the season. But the season got ruined anyway, so it didn't do no good to sign him. But I said last year, when guys that are 300 pounds and 6'8", 340 pounds, when you start to have injuries, those injuries linger and they come back and they don't go away when you're that size, at 29, 30 years old. So to me, I wouldn't be mad if they said, they was moving on from Colton Miller too. And I know the Raiders, fan base is going to flip the hell out, but don't be surprised if there's a lot of trades this year, right? The Raiders, the last time we made a spectacular trade where everybody said, it was Devontae Adams. We turned around and wasted that first and second round pick that we traded for Devontae after 2 years for a third round pick. So the Raiders, it's been a long, long time, since we've made any crazy ass picks or anything like that, right? So in my opinion, with a new head coach coming in the building, with the new with the second year GM, with all that shit being upon the Raiders and this fan base, I would not be surprised whatsoever if there's a lot of trades this year, if the Raiders move on from a lot of guys, right? And shout out to the 10 people in the building, OGs. I appreciate every one of y'all. The rest of the nation will catch on soon. Buffalo Bills, David Edwards, a solid guard, right? That the Buffalo Bills offensive line has been best as it has been in the last couple of years. A guy that's played his best football as a pro over the last couple of years. I wouldn't mind. We got to Nashawn Wright, Got to him. Oh shit, I already talked about him anyways. I was on Cam Curl. Cam Curl I would absolutely bring in. Caden Mays, there's some guys. Like there's two guards and there's a couple tackles that have 97 pass blocking grades. And if you're telling me you're drafting a rookie in Fernando Mendoza and you look at the offensive line he had at Indiana, you might want to bring in some of those guys in free agency that have 97, pass blocking grades. Rams draft picks are low though. What are they, 13 and 20 or something? That's not shit. That's not too low. Chicago Bears, Jaquan Brisker is a downhill safety who creates and disrupts near the line of scrimmage. Bricker played in all 17 games after missing 12 games in 2024. He's an alley filler, which is a guy that fills holes, right? He can blitz. He can fill the A gap, the B gap, which I don't know why you're sending those guys into gaps when you're sending your linebackers out to cover. Never made sense to me, but he had 4 interceptions and 7 sacks and 14 pass breakups. Excuse me. I'm dying over here. Next up, Leo Chanel, right? Kansas City linebacker. This is a physical linebacker, not great in coverage. But if you're talking about getting to the quarterback, if you're talking about getting downhill, stopping the run, definitely a guy that brings that. Is he a guy I'd bring in for the Raiders? Well, no. Rico Dow. Now, Rico Dow is a guy that I would definitely bring on this roster, man. He was damn good at Dallas. He was damn good last year with the Carolina Panthers, and I thought was one of the reasons why they made the playoffs was because of Rico Dow. He rushed for 1,076 yards last season. He had 26 carries of 10 or more yards, which is very, very explosive. I don't know how many Ashton Genty had. I think it was 6 or 7. It might have been more. He also can work on the edges and get vertical with the ball in zone schemes. And he gets up to speed quickly, right? He's a guy, he's not a one cut and go guy. He's a guy that can cut, turn it up, cut again, turn it up, stop on a dime. Has all the attributes you want in a running back. And I feel cleaning this. I feel that we need a bigger back, right? A guy that's physical, like a Mike Washington at 6 foot, 228 pounds, Arkansas Razorback. I'm gonna keep saying this every live for the rest of my life until we get him. But I feel like Mike Washington should be the draft pick for the Raiders, and people are gonna flip if we draft a running back in the second round. But man, you got to look at the league and where it's going. You got to have 2 of them big dogs. And I don't know if I'd waste a second round draft pick, but if you look at Mike Washington, there's no way you could tell me that you wouldn't take a chance on this guy. So, but Rico Dow, I wouldn't mind being with the Raiders. Kobe Bryant, Seattle Seahawks. Safety, is a guy that's really helped that team now that they have Nicky Manwari over there. Oh, shit. Sorry, let me put this take my shit off. My bad. Now that they have Nicky Manwari over there, right? Probably not needed as much, but you don't want to lose guys like that in free agency. Kobe Bryant has played very well for them. He's got vision to get a jump on the ball from depth. Bryant had 4 interceptions this season and a total of 7 over the past 2 years. So in the last 2 years, this man has had 7 interceptions from the safety position. You know how many of the Raiders have had? 2, bro. 2, bro. 2. So, yeah, definitely a guy on my list. And then linebacker, Nakobe Dean from the Philadelphia Eagles. Bounced back from a knee injury in 2024. procedure, he had 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 55 total tackles in 10 games in 2025. Now, this dude is a dog. Yes, coming off the injury, he's best when blitzing linebacker. So, you'd probably put him at the mic. I don't know what defense we're bringing in, so I don't know if we're going to run a 4-3, a 3-4, a 4-2-5. I don't know what this defense is going to be. I'm sure nobody else does because we don't know who's coming in. But Nakobe Dean is a guy that I would definitely take a chance on. Here, one of those hard hitters, right? One of those dudes like a Ray Lewis, and no, I'm not comparing him to a Ray Lewis, but one of those dudes that when he hits you like a Landon Roberts, right? He knocks the soul out your body. You've been hit. It feels like you've been hit by a truck. He's very angry versus the run, very angry when he gets to the ball carrier, physical linebacker. And for that, I say, yes, please. I would definitely trade him, swap him out for a Landon Roberts. Nothing against E-Rob, but at 32 years old, I just didn't ever think he was going to be that guy for the Raiders. Kenneth Gainwell is a yes for me, man. Depending on the price, what he wants, what he did in Pittsburgh last year or this previous year, right? With not taking all the reps, splitting, with the other running back. I can't think of his damn name right now. But the Pittsburgh Steelers had 2 very good running backs, right? And Kenneth Gainwell was one of them. He can catch out of the backfield. He's explosive in the gaps, right? In a gap scheme. Not a guy that has to have a big hole. Kind of likes it tight. Just I'm saying. But Kenneth Gainwell, I would definitely take a chance on. And last but not least, is linebacker Alex Anzalone. I don't know how to say that shit. 31 years old, a veteran linebacker, 9-year vet, quick to key the run game and a blitz schemes. In coverage, Alazone has the lateral quickness and eye discipline to match running backs in the pass game. He had 2.5 sacks and 8 pass breakups this last season. So those are the guys, man. Let me know who you want out of those. So out of those, my top guys are actually, let me get off this. Stop sharing. Get back to the screen. You know what I mean? So my top guys on this are, I would love to bring in a Trey Hendrickson. If not, we trade Max Crosby, right? Spend money on the defensive line. Don't be stingy, right? Sign this dude to, whatever. Give him most of the money up front so it doesn't come off the books, right? Pay him his guaranteed money. And I think they could work that out. So I would love to have a Trey Hendrickson. Tyler Lindenbaum, I would like, but I just don't think. I think there's better options for the price, a little bit less. Alex Pierce is a guy I wouldn't mind, but I would rather have. Good Lord, Shaheed Rashid, however you say that. But Rasheed Walker is definitely on my list with Brandon Smith. Those are 2 of my guys. I wouldn't mind Franklin Myers. I wouldn't pay him a whole bunch of bags. Alontae Taylor is definitely a yes. Quay Walker is definitely a yes. Reek Woolen is definitely a yes. Devin Lloyd is my number 1 linebacker. There is another linebacker, Quincy Williams from the New York Jets, who is an absolute freak, man, a young kid. Well, not young kid. I think he's like 28 years old now. I don't know if he'll be a free agent, but if he's not, shit, maybe the Raiders make a trade with the Jets and, bring him in. Kenneth Walker's out of our price range. I said Rashid. Kaylavon Chasen is one of my top 2 guys. He's been in the Super Bowl. He got his $3.5 million this year, right? At 7.5 sacks. I don't know how much of a high commodity he's going to be or how much money, how big of that bag he's going to bring. But maybe the Raiders, can pay him $12 or $15 million for a 4-year deal or some shit and bring him in, right? He's only 27. He's a year younger than Max Crosby. So, and then those guards, man, those guards. Isaac Samueleo, guard from Pittsburgh, is a yes. Connor McGorvin, center, is a yes. David Edwards is a yes. Nashawn Wright, the safety or corner, out of the Bears, is a yes. Cam Curl is a yes. Joe Bonito is a yes from the Browns. And even Cade Mays. So there's two centers, 3 guards, and 2 tackles in free agency that I would love to pick up if we're the Las Vegas Raiders. Let me know how y'all feel about that. Let's get into these comments and let's get the hell out of here. Appreciate everybody in the building that's pulled up, that's pulled out, that's pulled in, all that good shit. Beck will be a solid number 2. Yes, Beck's going to be a solid number 2 for sure, Pierce ain't a number 1, but can be reliable. I like that. I got to that. We can throw in AOC to Bears next 2 years, first round. All right, I read all those. Tell me why I'm getting my wish true this year, Rebel. I wanted Kubiak and Mendoza and trade Max. Shout out to my guy. Raider Paul. Well, maybe it's all those times where you wanted Gardner Minshew. It's like, you finally getting some love for all the badness that we've had to endure as a fan base. And if that's what your wish is, bro, keep wishing, because maybe your luck is here. How do you feel about the free agents that I just talked about? Maybe wish on some of those, manifest that shit, put it out there. If you're still in here, more than likely not. With 6 people, y'all probably did. But shout out to my guy, Raider Paul. Raider Paul, I thought you wanted Flores as your HC. Flores, Jesse Mentor, Davis Webb. We know how that goes, but it's all good, man. It's all good. Tom Flores, yes. Raider Paul, I got that. Tom Flores. Y'all be fucking with Raider Paul. Don't be fucking with him. I'm not sold on Mendoza. He's not a product. What? He's more of a product of Jay. I don't know what that means. A product of Jay. Look, I wasn't sold on this young man either. But the more I look at it, I'm not saying draft a kid, because I still believe if you can get to trade back, that there are future quarterbacks in this draft next year. But whoever gets Mendoza, whether it's the Raiders, the Jets, the Cardinals, whoever makes that choice has their man for the future. And I'm going to stand on that shit. I'm going to stand on it. There's no way that I believe this kid is a bust, bro. There's just no way. He's just got that Raider mentality, man. He's got that dog in him. Even though he's goofy, he's still got that dog with him. He loves to go, hang out with the boys and shit. Like, he's a Raider, bro. He's a Raider. I'm not sold on Mendoza. He's more of a product for a college team. Everyone had to evaluate their game in Indiana with the predictions. Elite team discipline, no injuries, no penalties, great D, great O-line. And that's all facts. That's all facts. They did have a great team all around, right? But I think Mendoza was a big part of why they had a great offense. That's why they had a great offensive line, right? Because you got to be able to trust each other. And when your O-line trusts your quarterback to make the plays, they're going to block for them. When your team, like Geno Smith last year, if he would have just one time ran like Aiden O'Connell did in the last game and dove head first, right? People would be like, man, that's my quarterback, right? No, no. He folded like a bitch. Oh, God, don't hit me. Like every time they got there. And, that was the problem with Geno. Mendoza is not like that. He's going to come in there. He's going to one time take a hit or, try to run somebody over or do some stupid shit like that, make somebody miss, and this fan base is gonna go crazy, man. I'm telling you, they're gonna be in love with this kid's toughness, and it's the toughness. It's not even his intelligence that I talk so highly of all the time. It's why I talk so high of Aiden O'Connell. His football knowledge, his intelligence of the game, of how it works, of how to put your receivers in the best position, of how to change the line, the play at the line of scrimmage, right, to a play that is going to work. Aiden can do that, and I believe Mendoza has, that same mentality. The moment you see players, what level of Alex Kappa and Lonnie Johnson come to the Raiders, automatically that means more losing. Pay attention to the players that we bring in. It says it all. G War in the building. 100%, man. 100%. Like I thought, like I do with everybody, I thought Lonnie Johnson, if he didn't get hurt, had a chance to, redeem himself. But after he got hurt, you could see it out there on the field. He was timid. He was afraid to make the plays. He was stepping away from tackles. And you can't bring guys like that. You can't bring guys like that in the building. So I agree 100%. I like Malik better than Mendoza. We should trade back and get more picks and get a quarterback that can do more than just throw and sneak and run here and there. Raiders have never had a quarterback like Malik, always pocket. Raiders have had a quarterback like Malik. I mean, we had why am I drawing the blank? We've had a lot of those, bro. We've had a lot of those quarterbacks. Had a lot of those mobile quarterbacks. They never worked out for us. It's not working out for the Chicago Bears right now. Yes, they made it to the playoffs, but they lost because their quarterback threw 3 interceptions, right? The teams that are not in the playoffs because their quarterback had 5 turnovers in the game, right? Those are guys trying to make plays that aren't there. That's what I feel. So the pocket passer, I feel way better having a guy that's only going to run when he has to and knows he can pick up yardage than a guy like Caleb Williams that's going to be back there, running around, or Shador Sanders running around trying to make a play and lose 10 or 15 yards, or throw an interception in the big moments, right? Fernando Mendoza is not like that. And the reason I changed my mind mainly is because I went back and watched the film, but I paid attention to 2 things, right? His toughness, right? Is his head up? Is his head down? When he makes a bad play, is he walking to the sideline, moping and shit? It doesn't even phase him that he turns the ball over. When he throws an interception, it's no big deal. He walks off, it's no big deal. He comes back out and he makes a play the next play. Like the kid is that kind of mentality. And the second thing I watched is, I shouldn't tell y'all my routines, but as I was laying there going to sleep, it's what I was thinking about. And I kept popping in my head, why is he double clutching so much? Right? It just made me think. I see a lot of double clutching from Fernando Mendoza, but why? So I went back and I watched a little bit more film, and I watched it from a different angle. And a lot of those double pumps, double clutching, were not him not being decisive with the ball. They were not him, a pump fake trying to bait a safety or trying to bait a linebacker into thinking he's throwing there. Most of the time, from what I've seen, was him going to throw the football and then somebody popping in his vision where he was like, no. And just about every time, I think there was only 2, if I'm correct, on the games I watched. I think all of the games that I watched. I think there was only 2 times where he he clutched, made a decision, and it wasn't a completion and it wasn't a gain. So he's not panicking. He's not, double clutching because he's not decisive where he's going with the ball. He's seen something that when he was going through his progressions and was getting ready to throw, was like, oh shit, if I throw that, this dude's going to jump this route. Or, this guy, I see him coming in my vision and I'm checking it down. And for that, I believe is the reason why he only had 6 interceptions or 5 interceptions all year long. He's very smart with the ball. And you can't teach that, man. You can't teach that in the NFL. You could tell these guys over and over and over again, don't throw that. Don't throw that. If the linebacker does this, if he's on the inside, right? If he's stepping, if he's backpedaling, more than likely he's going to break on the ball, right? If his hips are facing to the outside, that's where he's trying to take you. Don't throw the back shoulder throw because he's already trying to take you to the outside and he's got leverage on that, right? You can tell them all the time, but these guys, they have an ego, right? And they all believe they're the best quarterbacks out there and they can make any throw. And it's hard to tell guys you can't make that throw when they believe they can make that throw. Mendoza, I think, is different in that aspect. He knows, damn, I can't make that throw. I'm going to check it down or I'm going to run. And those are when he runs. And that's, or he doesn't throw. But when he doesn't throw, he already knows where he's going with the ball as soon as he's processing this all in his head within 5 seconds or 3 seconds, right? So the processing to be able to just, read option, hold the ball. You're looking upfield, you're reading, and then you're, oh shit, nope. And I'm going to go over here because I know this guy's going to be open. That's shit you can't teach in the NFL. And I think for that reason, the kid grew on me. And I like Malik, but his size scares me. Man. He's not, I don't think he's more talented than Kyler Murray, right? And they're pretty much the same size. He might be a little thicker build, but having those shorter quarterbacks that you have to move the pocket, that you have to create passing lanes for, makes your offense harder, right? And it didn't look like it was very hard for Green Bay. I get that, but he had been there for what, 2 or 3 years in the system with Green Bay, 2 years at least, I think. So he knows the system. I think that's a big thing too. And I like Malik. I like Malik a lot, but if you're telling me I could draft a 6'5", 230-pound quarterback that's 22 years old with the mind of Tom Brady when it comes to football, or draft somebody that's going to run around that's less than 6 foot and could get hit one time and in his career, nah, bro, I'm not going that route. These Raiders fans are in for the long haul of excuses when drafting Mendoza. You're going to hear the car effect, or it's not his fault if the O-line, it's the OC, it's the defense, it's the run, it's the wide receivers. I mean, you're going to get that all the time. You're going to get that all the time, G-Ware. G-Ware, I don't even know how to say your name, bro. I'm going to call you G. G42 in the building. That's your new name, G42. I mean, fans are going to make excuses. They're going to make excuses all the time because they love the dude. They're already bought in on the guy, right? That's already their guy. They're already buying T-shirts. They're already selling T-shirts. And, you can't blame the Raider fans. We've waited and dreamed of this position for a long, long time. But I don't think Mendoza, I don't think you're going to have to make too many excuses for this, man. I really don't. If you look at Klint Kubiak's offense, what he's done with quarterbacks, and I talked about what scared me is Spencer Rattler didn't have the greatest season with his athleticism, with his arm, with his accuracy. We don't know what Kubiak could do with young quarterbacks, right? We've seen what he did with Brock Purdy. Was he there with Brock Purdy? Was he even there with Brock Purdy? So, I mean, I don't know what he can do with these guys, right? But I do know that Kirk Cousins could be available. I do know that Fernando Mendoza's comp is Kirk Cousins. I do know that Kirk Cousins played in Minnesota when Klint Kubiak was the passing game coordinator in Minnesota. I do know they still have a relationship. So I would not be surprised. Kirk Cousins, that played his best football in Minnesota with Kubiak in the building, would not be surprised if the Raiders try to bring in a veteran like that to help work with the young man, Fernando Mendoza. I would not be surprised if Brady puts his foot down and says he's not starting year one. He's going to sit and learn. I would not be surprised at that one bit. Shaheed for sure following Kubiak. We shall see. We shall see. It's definitely worth a shot, but I don't know what that money is. Mac is old, not worth the roster spot. Save the money. We got the best of him. we got the best of him. I think it was about the same, right? Somebody posted on X his time with the Raiders, his time with the Bears, and his time with the Chargers, and the numbers were pretty much the same. So, but I do agree with that. We got the best for years time on top for new defensive end. Max for a second and a first. Max says he wants to win. If that is true, he would be gone along with his Mr. Stats. What the fuck? That was hard to read. I think that is the first signing we do. Shaheed, I wouldn't be mad at that. Shaheed and Tucker. I'm just not, man. I've said this and I've said this and I've said this, right? Trey Tucker's best year was last year under Geno Smith because he was a focal point. He had like over almost 500 targets. He had almost 70 targets, I think, which is 60 targets, which is 20 more than he had any other season. And he put up, what, 500, 600 yards, which is not bad. Fader Raider, shout out for the $1.99 holler. I see you. Appreciate you. You're here. But I just don't believe in Tucker, man. I just don't believe in Tucker. Maybe it's possible that Klint Kubiak could get the best out of Trey Tucker. You know, I'm tired of getting rid of Raiders and moving on and watching them go play in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl like we're doing right now. So I'd hate for Trey Tucker to leave. But, man, so many drops this year that could have been big plays. So many opportunities he got to show he was that guy, and he just didn't do it. And I know it's not all his fault. It was the quarterback, but as well, I'm just not sold on Trey Tucker, man. I think his speed is the best asset he has, and his vision is not good, you know, running reverses or shit out of the backfield. He's still diving for the ball when he's got two steps on guys. I don't think he's the guy, man. I don't know. I could be wrong. Which free agent is the highest priority to sign? Number one priority. Which one of our free agents? Arnie Garza? Raiders free agents? Are the free agents I was just looking at? Which one of ours? It's Eric Stokes, bro. It's Eric Stokes 100%. That dude needs to be back. He needs to be signed to a better contract. Let him come do his job, I feel. Eric Stokes. Rashid is non-existent on the Saints with injuries. Are some stupid fake reason. Go to Seattle. And he's like the best thing ever, makes nonsense. Basically garbage with the Saints not interested. Yeah, but see, you're looking at it all wrong, my guy. You're looking at it. He went to the Saints. They were banging. He was banging with Derek Carr. But then, you know, and I think he was a rookie that year, right? But then you get hurt. Your quarterback gets hurt, and you have a backup, and the system changes. You have a more mobile guy, you know, um, in Spencer Rattler, and then you had another quarterback, and then you had another quarterback. Shit, I think they had 3 quarterbacks that year. So then you had a guy like Chris Olave going down with injuries, right? The Saints had a bunch of issues. They had injuries. They had quarterback injuries. I'm not blaming his time with the Saints on Rashid, and he didn't even have a great year in Seattle, right? He wasn't a focal point in the offense. He just had a great year kick returns and punt returns, which for that, I'm all in. I'll sign him just for that. He don't ever have to take a snap from any of our quarterbacks. Just be the kick returner and the punt returner, and he's worth whatever money he wants because the Raiders have not had somebody that, you know, that can flash, that can create explosive plays on punt returns and kick returns in a long, long time. So I'd give him the money just for that. The fact that he can catch and stretch the field, I mean, that's just that's just another thing on top of it. So I don't think he's garbage at all. I think he's a very young receiver that's, you know, just starting to hit his stride, and his stride is fast as hell. So I would take him. Rebel, how many coaches and free agents will Kubiak get from Seattle after the Super Bowl? Go back and watch my other videos, Arnie Garza. I hate to keep beating a dead horse and, you know, just saying the same things over and over and over again. But he brought in, I don't know all their names because I don't have the list in front of me, but he brought in the run game coordinator who worked with Gary Kubiak. He brought in John Benton or whatever the hell his name is, the offensive line coach. All those guys are coming with him, right? The 4 guys that he brought in are the 4 guys that are leaving with him. So I say he takes the offensive line coach follows him, the run game coordinator follows him, the quarterback coach follows him. 3 minimum. And then, you know, depending on what kind of guy he is, you know, we'll see how many more he gets. Mike Lopez in the building. Shout out to you, my guy. What are your thoughts on trading Crosby to the Cowboys for their 2 first rounds and next year's first round? My thoughts are, shit, sign me up, bro. Sign me up all day. If you're telling me you're going to give me 3 first-round picks, 2 of them this year and 1 next year for Max Crosby, yeah, I'll take that shit all day long. All day long, bro. Raiders choose the worst year for the quarterback. I didn't see with Mendoza, just a quarterback of the past, TBA, of the past in today's NFL. They are a dying breed. Of course, the Raiders are always 15 years behind most of these quarterbacks on the way out. But you're acting like he's just a pocket passer. He's a 1 or 2 read guy with a quick release. If you look at the NFL, every team in the playoffs has a quarterback that can get the ball out quickly. Not all of them have mobile quarterbacks. But Fernando Mendoza is way more mobile and athletic than people give him credit for. He just doesn't run because he doesn't have to. But when he does run, he's crafty as hell. His straight line speed is fast as hell. Sideline to sideline, it's not. But he's very decisive. I'm very elusive when it comes to running straight line, right? Because people are looking at him and thinking, "Oh, damn, go ahead and take off running. I got you." But but he's quicker than you think. So it's not like he's just going to stand back there and be a pocket passer. But I had no problem with the Andrew Luck. I had no problem with the Peyton Manning. Had no problem with, you know, with Matt Ryan or any of these guys, Aiden O'Connell, that stand in the pocket and sling the rock, bro. Like, that's what the NFL is supposed to be. The quarterback position has always meant to be the smartest position on the field. You have to know the offensive line. You have to know the receivers and their jobs, the running back and their job, the defense and what they're doing and what they're trying to do, what they're trying to disguise to do. So, you know, you were talking about Malik Willis. Yes, he can mobile. He's run, but where is he when it comes to intelligent wise, right? Because in his career, what is his stats, right? They haven't been great, I don't think. Malik Willis career stats. Yeah, so in Tennessee, man, he had 0 touchdowns and 3 interceptions with a 42.8 reading. That was only 3 years ago. He had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions with a 124 rating, and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions with a 145 rating. But that is on a Matt LaFleur offensive minded team. That is, a team that has weapons, a great offensive line, one of the best tackles in the business, right? That's different, right? Where are you going to be when you go to a team that doesn't have all that? So, the Raiders, I mean, we're of course going to be behind on the quarterback situation because we haven't drafted one in 20 years. So we're going to be way behind on that. That's just smoky in here. Cowboys aren't doing it for Crosby, maybe the Bears. I could see the Cowboys being in on the Max Crosby trade. Will they give 2 first rounds and a player? Possibly. I think they can. I think they know they made a mistake getting rid of, who might be the greatest defensive end in history by the time it's done. And Michael Parsons, if he stays healthy, coming off that knee injury, Dallas, looks like a damn genius, right? Jerry Jones looks like a genius that he got rid of him. We need to go after tackle Rasheed Walker. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. If you're telling me you could get Rasheed Walker and Colton Miller on the other side, and if Colton Miller goes down, you have a guy like Charles Grant you can bring in. I'm all here for that. I'm all here for that. How about the Rams? They have 2 picks plus Crosby. And Verse would be a nightmare. That's a damn good statement. That's a damn good hot take right there, my guy. Mike Lopez in the building. Appreciate that. The Rams do have 2 first-round picks. They're a little higher, but I don't care where they are. If you're telling me you get 2 first-round picks, that's 2 first-round talents. You can get your D-line and your linebacker. You can get your linebacker in your corner. You can get another guard. You can get your wide receiver and a safety. You can get whatever you want to in the first round, bro. That's 3 first-round picks. You could get Mendoza and whoever. You could trade the Mendoza pick and get 5 first-round picks in this draft. And this team would be, different overnight. Shit, I'd be here for that too. So it does make sense to, Devontae Adams. We all seen the footage of Devontae Adams, telling people the grass is greener on the other side. The Rams is one of the greatest organizations he's ever played for. So he's trying to recruit Crosby. They're still best friends. I mean, those dudes were so in sync that they wore the same outfit 3 times in a season, and it wasn't planned. They both went out and bought the same outfit, wore it on the same day, and it wasn't planned. That's chemistry that you can't, you can't even dream up chemistry like that for players on a team. So Crosby and DA are very, very close, and I'm sure he's on the phone constantly with him once a day saying, bro, you got to come to the Rams. You got to come to the Rams. But on the other hand, however, the Rams, they might need those 2 picks because they might need a quarterback. Matthew Stafford might be on the way out. It might be his last year this year. He might play 1 more. He might play another 5. We don't know. So could be crazy. Do you think Porter will be good at Q? I think he's going to be a Pro Bowler, bro. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl player. I really, really do. A guy to go from receiver to a corner in 1 year to play in college only 1 year at that position and come out and play as good as he did in the spot starts that he got, in the spot reps that he got. That's special. That's special, right? We already seen him make some plays. We've seen him, come up and make some tackles that most guys don't want to do at his size. Porter's special, bro. Porter's special. Rams draft picks are low though. Yeah, but you still like I said, I just said that. But man, you get what 13th overall? Come on, bro. Might get a David Bailey right there and change the whole entire franchise. Alex Pierce can be the next JSN on our team? Yes or no? Um, no. I don't think Alex Pierce his routes are Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't think his hand size or strength is Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't think his athleticism is Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's a damn good route runner. But I think Alex Pierce was as good as he was because they had Jonathan Taylor, right? They had a threat run game, and you had to cover one-on-one with Alex Pierce, which made him better. And you're not going to get that if you go to another team, which is why I think they bring him back. No, we need a running back with speed. Yeah. You don't think Genty has speed? Have you ever seen him get caught from behind? Have you ever seen Genty get caught from behind? I think I've seen it twice at Boise. And it was a corner that ran a 4.2, 4.3 40 or a 4.2 40. I haven't seen him get caught behind in the NFL. Once he gets past somebody, he's gone. So he's got NFL speed that if you got a step, there's only a couple people in the NFL catching Ashton Genty. I don't think we need speed. I think we need a guy that's 230, 40 pounds that can get us those short yardage situations, that can play fullback, right? That can mix it up, that can catch out of the backfield. I think he is our lightning. He's just a low, compact lightning. We need our thunder, my opinion. Jake Slaughter, the center from Florida, round 2. Okay, S-Mac. I wouldn't mind Slaughter round 2. I think I have a couple centers above that, but that's a hot take. It's a hot take. Someone like Emmett Johnson or Jaden Nixon. Okay, shit, I ain't mad at that either. I ain't mad at that at all. I got to the 199. Appreciate you. All right, man. That's what we got. It seems like everybody's dipping out. 2.5 hours is probably way longer than I wanted to be on, probably longer than y'all wanted to be here. So I appreciate everybody in the building. If you haven't already, like, subscribe to the channel if you're picking up what I'm putting down. We will break down Max Crosby's trades and more. I didn't know this was going to go so long, so we will break down more of that shit tomorrow. We will do some mock drafts, and we will have some Crosby trades in it, so pull up for that. Appreciate everybody. As always, protect yourself, protect your mind, your body, your health, and your family, and your loved ones. And always